join us?
Thank you, John. So I'm going to make a few traditional best man remarks, but before I do, I'm aware there's been a lot of speculation about last weekend and what 20 British men and an American would do in Nashville for a weekend. So I wanted to reassure you all that it was actually a professional trip. We were working hard and we visited the recording studio. And we recorded some original material. And I'd like to share that. So I'd like to thank you all for coming to the main event, the first public playing of Don't Look Back, Amanda.
Slip inside the eye of your mind. Don't you know you might find what Johnny's gotta say? She said that he'd never be the man down on one knee until she heard you say, come and start a revolution in my bed. just fade away. But throw them back around her, throw them back around her. It's now too late.
So, that was John Morton on lead vocals, and the boys. All right, that'll do.
How do you follow that, Chris?
All right, so now a few more traditional remarks. Speaking after John, I should probably start with a word of reassurance. This will be more concise. In the world of public speaking, John is the siege of Stalingrad to my storming of the Bastille. While John's telling an anecdote, you might become numb, forget why it all started in the first place. But, like storming the Bastille, my public speaking is quick and painful, and normally followed by social unrest. Now, that's a history joke. Now, it's only right to begin by thanking the parents of the bride, who have had the pleasure of meeting over the past few days. We've had an absolutely spectacular few days. It's been wonderful, a fantastic celebration. Speaking as one of the British contingent, I can say with certainty that we're all going to go back to the UK, waxing lyrical about Southern hospitality, Googling house prices in Charleston, and seeking treatment for type 2 diabetes. But seriously, for the Brits, this has been not just a fantastic celebration, it's been a real one-off experience for us. So a huge thanks to them. And of course, thanks to Paul and Julie, the Mortons, for getting us suitably drunk last night. I can't think of a more appropriate way for them to contribute than to get us all slightly drunk and enjoy the day today with niggling hangovers. Thank you so much. To Paul and Julie. If you'll also allow me a brief mention of the bridesmaids, and a moment to state the blindingly obvious. They're all looking lovely. Yeah. To the extent that actually the groomsmen shouldn't be standing next to them because they're just embarrassing themselves. Now, I should probably move on to talk about the star of today's celebrations. I was born in 1984 in a small English village. I arrived at university in London, and the first person that I met, with a heavy dose of apprehension, was John Morton. And to be quite honest, John, you made a bad situation worse. This was finally my chance to get in with the cool kids, meet the right crowd. I met an enormous public schoolboy with floppy hair and a collection of puppy-themed pillows. But over the years, John did reveal his true character. There's a sportsman, John, whose skills were honed in the dark, beginning in his childhood bedroom. As it turns out, the pile of discarded tissues under his bunk bed were not the result of adolescent self-discovery. No, they were actually the byproduct of some kind of improvised reflex game that he used to play with his sister Jean. John's training became apparent many years later when he and I shared a floor of our house in Kentish Town, that's in London. One night, I'd retired early, as is my nature. And John followed hours later, clomping up the stairs in his fashionable footwear. It's common for European men. And as clomps in my sleep, I was sort of awoken, and I knew what was coming. I was excited, John. It was going to be a customary late night snuggle. So I braced myself, and of course, before long, the door burst open. An enormous silhouette was framed in the doorway.
We all know Morty.
And before I knew it, this enormous silhouette was blocking out all light as it was propelled through the air towards me. And I braced myself for impact. And as he made contact with me, I pushed back. And to this day, I'm sorry for that. But reassuringly, he went flying back up into the air and landed beside me on the floor. I heard a reassuring thud. I knew he'd made contact with the ground. There was also a catastrophic crunching sound as the wall of my bedroom collapsed beneath his girth. So, I had a slight flicker of concern for John, what happens to an enormous man as he falls through a wall. But instantly, his head popped up beside me. Don't worry, Chrissy. I'm trained for the dark. Then, of course, there's John the Romantic. We've heard his words tonight, and he started early. I'm reliably informed by anonymous groomsmen that the culmination of his efforts at Clifton College, for those Americans in the room, that's Hogwarts. The culmination of his efforts at Hogwarts were to finally, on the final ball of school, snag the ugliest girl in town. But I saw John mature as a romantic specialist. On one particular memorable night, we went out at uni, we were at a club, and a few of the guys here, Tommy and Drace, we were there, and we saw John, consummately seducing a poor woman. And he said midway, excuse me, just 1 second. And he vomited copiously to one side before just turning back and carrying on. A true romantic. There's also the socializer John. So age 16, arriving at Hogwarts. John had a dinner at his previous school. John, never to miss out on a social occasion, he went back to his old school and he had dinner and got absolutely wasted. And proceeded to tell the school mistress, which is a thing, that she was scamming the school and skimming financially from the school's funds. And the poor lady was brought to tears. He then dragged himself back to Hogwarts, and instead of knocking on the, junior wizard's door, he took himself round to Snape's door, essentially. And he was banging away and ended up waking the whole family and the kids and everyone, and down they came. John, what are you doing? There he was. And they dragged him round to Rod's bedroom. Not to Rod's bedroom, to his bedroom, but obviously he headed straight for Rod's bedroom. Banged on the door of Rod's bedroom. Rod eventually came out, dragged him to bed, and he just vomited all over the place. It's a reoccurring theme. But over these years, all these years and the experiences we've shared, I have got to know John's true nature. And I boiled it down to one core essence. John is a big man. Look at this fine figure of a man, obviously. Look at that hair flopping around. The slowly developing ability to grow facial hair. But you can't even see John's biggest feature. His heart. No, John is a truly generous man. He's generous with his time, with his friendships. He's generous with all the people he loves. And they love him right back. And I think you just need to glance around this room to know that. But our years of late night snuggles had to come to an end. And no doubt inspired by my work as a historian, John headed for the New World. Of course, sad news for us. But we were also excited by the prospect of John conquering America. The IRS would be wrapped around his little finger. The women of New York would fall one by one for his charm and his perfect swing. However, little did we realise that John himself would be immediately seduced by the New World. The sweet nectar of IPA, the life-affirming enormity of the food portions, and the social acceptability of owning a dog that should, by all accounts, belong to a small girl. But of course, there was one exotic creature in the New World that would capture Johnny's imagination and his heart. The Southern Belle, Amanda Martin. When I first heard that John had met a girl on his first night out in New York City, I thought, being British in America must really do the job.
Andy?
But then I met Amanda. Now, I'm not one of the golf lads. I don't even like them very much. But I know enough to say this. John spent 25 years scrabbling around in the rough, losing his balls in all kinds of unpleasant hazards. But he struck for New York, and he hit a spectacular hole-in-one. Yeah, I had to go on golf websites to put that all together. But no, look at it. I mean, frankly, this is ridiculous. But no, since the first time I've seen them together, it's obvious to me that John and Amanda were meant to be together. Amanda is John's other half, officially now, but in every sense of the word. Best friend, soulmate, love of his life, obviously. And I've seen John at his happiest, normally when he's beaten me at something.
Regularly.
Rare occasion. I've seen John at his lowest ebb. But I've now seen John as a complete man. And that's because of Amanda.
No!
He's sort of... Amanda is the final piece of the puzzle, and I think that's clear for all of us to see. And it gives me a huge amount of pleasure to be able to be up here and to say that, and to see them together. Everybody in this room actually is in for a treat. We all get to see Amanda grow gracefully. We get to see John expand enormously. But we get to see them do it together, and to be absolutely head over heels happy doing it. And I would like to, us all, to raise a glass to wish them the very, very best, to wish them all the happiness they deserve.